number one quality I look for someone to work with is first and foremost their character, right? Do they have good values, good principles? Are they trustworthy? Do they speak honestly? That's number one because you can't teach character. You can't teach character, you can teach skill. So first you want the trust, and that comes from a character perspective. Secondly, you want the competence. You want the skill set. You want the fact that they're going to work hard, they're going to get the job done, and they can actually have the competence to help you execute on whatever the goal and vision it is for you and your business.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had, in that regard, have you ever made a poor choice in collaborating with someone, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all made a poor choice on working with someone, right? And that's where it comes on to you on who you want to be. Are you a leader? If you're a leader, you're someone who's going to sit down with that individual, you're going to speak to them directly and share your frustrations with them and the issues that you may have, and you try and resolve it, right? If it's unable to be resolved or you don't feel that you can trust them or that they're competent, then you have to escalate the situation. And depending on where you're at and what ability and what empowerment you have to make a decision, ultimately you have to make the hard decision. If you're a manager, then it might be time to let that person go. If you're a CEO, sometimes the hardest thing is to let someone go, especially if they've been with you a long time or you have a relationship with. But what I found with business owners, it typically goes through phases. Initially, when you let someone go, there's like a panic, like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? And a level of uncertainty. But then quickly you realize that it was the right decision because that person is causing friction, that person is causing time, money, resources, energy, and now that is going to be navigated towards someone who is right for the position. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to have a straight up direct conversation with that person, see if it can be resolved, see what could be done, and if not, you have to let that person go.
What if you aren't a business owner? So let's say you're an employee at a company, at a startup, and there's this person in your team, for example, that you can't seem to find common ground with, and you want to try and understand how you need to deal with them so you can keep on working with them and being in a normal situation. What recommendation would you give to a employee or someone that works at a company that has to deal with someone because he doesn't have the choice of letting them go?
It goes back to who do you want to be? You don't have to be a leader, you don't have to have the title. I was just at lunch yesterday with one of my managers, Mario, and we were talking about getting to that next level. Who do you want to be as you grow and as I grow within the organization? Obviously, working with Patrick Bet David, he is the window of opportunity is there for me to expand and grow into the company. And he said the number one thing for you, and as we grow and expand and becoming a leader, having a team, you have to be able to have crucial conversations, and you can't avoid conflict. So whether you're a manager, you just started with the company, you're a CEO, or you're just an employee, you have to be able to. You can't be afraid of conflict, and you don't have to have the title to actually be a leader. So number one thing that any individual who wants to rise up or to be a I would say a impactful person within an organization or even a leader, you have to be able to have conflict and you have to be able to have crucial conversations.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that the number one thing, if you're dealing with someone that you can't seem to find common ground, the best idea would be to talk it out. And with this, I would like to ask, what if the situation is that you both seem to be unwilling to compromise? In those circumstances, how do you try and get a deal? It doesn't have to necessarily be with someone on your team. It can be that. But what if it's a potential client, someone that you're talking about prices, and they just don't seem to back away?
Mhm.
How do you go over that so that you can do something together and move to the next step?
If you guys are unwilling to compromise or reason, you have to be willing and okay with walking away. Because at the end of the day, if you look at power versus force, there's that level of consciousness and there's that graph. And in order to be at a higher level of consciousness, you have to have the ability to reason. And I was in New York with Patrick, and we were at the New York Yankees with 20 of our CEOs. These are 8, 9 figure plus business owners in that room. And Patrick said that the number one thing for any executive that he has in his organization is they have to have the ability to reason. If you don't have the ability to reason, you won't be with him long term. And ultimately, if you don't have the ability to reason, you won't be in business long term, because no one wants to work for someone who's just me, me, me. At the end of the day, those who go the longest is because they win, but people that do business with them win. So if you don't have the ability to reason, or if the person you're working with doesn't have the ability to reason, you have to be willing to walk away, and you have to be willing and able to invest time to develop that skill.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting point. I feel like this is very much connected and related with self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order for you to be able to go away and say no to someone, you need to respect your own self. With that, I would like to ask you, has your own sen- has your own sense of self-worth evolved over the course of your career? When you started working, when you just left university, you finished university, was your self-worth the same as it is today? Has it evolved? Will it change in the future? And what's your whole relationship with your own self-worth?
Self-worth, I think, definitely evolves, and I think it's different for everyone. And what I think definitely affects your self-worth, like for myself, for an example, is also your upbringing. Because if you come from a hard upbringing, you're naturally probably going to have a limiting belief on your self-worth. For like myself, right? I haven't spoken to my dad since I was a senior in high school, so over a decade at this point. And throughout thinking back, our relationship clearly wasn't full of love, right? And when the number one person in your life, like your father, doesn't give you the love and the unconditional love as being your father, you naturally, subconsciously or consciously, devalue your self-worth, because that's at a very young age and it happens over life. So that's something that happened to me that many other people go through, right? And so you're carrying that and you don't even know it's fully there until you get yourself into current situations where you are expanding and you are growing. You're putting yourself in environments with high performers, or you're trying to get to that next level and you're constantly battling, am I good enough? Can I do this? There's a level of insecurity. But it is something that you can grow and develop over time, because then you get into certain positions, or you see the value that you've brought into an organization or to get something done, or you look at your victories, and through that there's no way that you can continue pursuing and advancing in life if there wasn't value that you were bringing to others in the marketplace. So 100% many people struggle with it today, and 100% you can also develop it and grow. And as you grow, and if you become a leader, and however far you want to advance in life, you have to be able to be confident in yourself, your abilities, and your self-worth. Because just as you were saying, you have to be able to walk away from things. You have to be able to say no. And you can only do that if you believe that you're worth more than the opportunity or the situation that's put in front of you.